In 1910, you boarded a luxury express at dusk in Paris and woke up in Berlin by breakfast. Today, in 2025, boarding the world's fastest trains still leaves you stuck on the track for nearly 9 hours. How did we end up with slow travel even though our trains are faster? At the turn of the 20th century, Europe's railroads were a marvel of engineering and luxury. The Nord Express, officially known as the Paris Berlin Night Train, ran from Paris to Berlin in about 12 to 14 hours, averaging around 100 to 120 kilometers per hour. With only a handful of stops, elegantly appointed sleeping cars, and attentive service, travelers slept through the journey, waking refreshed to the announcement of the station master in Berlin. Time literally passed while they slept, and the experience felt seamless and swift. Fast forward to today, in France, the TGV reaches speeds of up to 320 kilometers per hour on dedicated high speed lines. In Germany, the Intercity Express or ICE can similarly hit the 300 km per hour mark. Yet the fastest Paris to Berlin connection still takes 7 to 8.5 hours. On paper, we have shaved off nearly 5 or 6 hours compared to 1910. But why does it feel like so little progress? And why does the journey still demand an entire day? The first culprit is fragmented infrastructure. France built over 1,000 kilometers of high speed lines starting in the 1980s, linking Paris, Lyon, Marseille, and other domestic cities. Germany, however, prioritized domestic routes such as Frankfurt to Munich, leaving Berlin on a slower upgrade schedule. As a result, a bullet train can travel from Paris to eastern France at 300 kilometers per hour, but then it must slow down drastically on conventional tracks through the border regions and older German lines. The gap between dedicated high speed networks means that the trains alternate between lightning fast stretches and slow speed segments designed for regional traffic. Technical barriers compound the problem. The French TGV system operates on 25 kilowatts alternating current with a signal and safety protocol tailored to its network. The German ICE, by contrast, uses 15 kilowatts AC and different train control systems. Cross border trains must either switch locomotives at the border station or reduce speed to comply with signaling differences. Each locomotive change or signaling slowdown can cost up to 20 minutes, and those minutes add up throughout the journey. History also left its mark. After the Second World War, Germany's division severed rail cooperation. Berlin lay isolated behind the Iron Curtain, starved of modernization funds. While West Germany shepherded high speed rail development, Berlin's rail lines stagnated until German reunification in 1990. Even then, rebuilding Berlin's infrastructure and connecting it to a high speed vision took decades. Political priorities and budget constraints stretched projects over years. Meanwhile, alternative modes of transport competed aggressively. Cheap flights between Paris and Berlin undercut rail by promising a 1.5 hour flight time plus a fraction of the ticket cost. Governments and investors funneled subsidies into airports and budget airlines, while the Autobahn network offered flexible road travel for those willing to drive. High speed rail lost political wind to planes and cars, slowing expansion of seamless cross border tracks. On board the trains, the human factor shifts perception of speed. In 1910, you boarded at dusk, settled into your plush compartment, and the gentle rocking of the train, and dim lanterns lulled you into sleep. You awoke, the Berlin greeted you at dawn. You never really experienced the hours because you weren't awake to measure them. Today, modern passengers remain awake, watching the landscape flash by, checking their watches, refreshing their phones, and feeling every minute tick by. Despite sleek seats, onboard Wi Fi, and a panoramic window, time feels longer. Let's break down a typical route. You depart Paris Gare de l'Est in the morning on a TGV. The first leg takes roughly 3 hours and 45 minutes to Frankfurt main station, speeding across dedicated lines in France and into Germany. You disembark, shuffle down the platform, and wait 20 to 30 minutes for the connecting ICE train. The ICE then carries you through central Germany for another 3.5 hours. In total, about 7 hours and 15 minutes of travel time, not including transfer buffer. Most schedules range from 7 to 8.5 hours. Compare that to an overnight sleeper service. These rare trains depart Paris around 8 in the evening and arrive Berlin around 8 the next morning. 12 hours of travel, but you sleep through most of it. Few travelers choose these now, preferring daytime high speed rail or budget flights. Yet the sleeper's relative comfort and the magic of waking in a new country still appeals to a niche audience. So, what of the future? The good news is that plans are already in motion to accelerate the route further. In late 2024, SNCF and Dushanban inaugurated a direct TGV ICE service that began shaving off 1 to 2 hours by eliminating certain transfers. European Union funding allocated through the Connecting Europe facility embarks billions for high speed expansion along this corridor. Engineers plan new viaducts, tunnels, and dedicated tracks between eastern France and western Germany. By 2028, completion of the missing high speed segment could reduce travel time to around 6 hours. Full deployment of unified signaling systems and cross border electrification by 2030 could bring that down to 4 or 5 hours. Imagine boarding a train in Paris at 9 in the morning and stepping off in Berlin by 1 or 2 in the afternoon. 4 hours of high speed comfort, productivity, or leisure. No layovers, no locomotive charges, no boarding hurdles. The romantic dream of rapid continental rail travel could finally match the luxury and convenience of the early 20th century express, only faster, smoother, and fully integrated into a pan European high speed network. Why does all of this matter? Faster, more reliable train travel reduces air traffic, cuts carbon emissions, and fosters deeper business and cultural exchange across borders. It transforms cities from distant capitals into neighboring hubs. For entrepreneurs, students, and tourists alike, a 4 hour train ride reshapes our mental map of Europe. No more red eye flights or long airport waits, just rail tickets, digital passes, and a seamless journey. In the end, the Paris to Berlin paradox teaches us that raw speed isn't the only measure of progress. Infrastructure, politics, economics, and human perception all shape our experience. We may have faster locomotives, but until tracks, regulations, and fundings align, the journey will still remain stubbornly long. So, next time you find yourself on that train, remember the engineers, the politicians, and the visionaries who built and delayed these railways, and look forward to the day when the rails finally deliver the speed we've long imagined.